All right, guys, we've got to talk about it. The biggest mistakes that I see beginner sneaker artists make. And this is coming from someone who's made every single one of these mistakes that we'll be covering today. And although I'm a pretty big believer that the best way to learn is always going to be through your own trial and error, that doesn't mean you can't learn from others' mistakes as well. So let's talk about it. So first off, and although it's not the sexy answer by any means, the single most important step to any custom sneaker project will always be the prep work. We need to make sure that the paint is bonding to the surface properly so that the shoes will actually hold up with some wear and tear. I remember when I first started out customizing, there really wasn't any YouTube videos, and I remember finding a pretty detailed blog at the time that had step-by-step instructions, and I remember reading at the beginning of the blog, it mentioned how important the prep work was, and if you skip this step, all of your hard work will be for nothing, because as soon as you wear the shoes and you start walking down the street, all of a sudden your paint's gonna be cracking, and then all of your hard work will just go to waste. And I remember specifically thinking to myself, nah, can't be me. I'll just make sure to paint them carefully, and then I'll just find the magical finisher or varnish that will make sure that my paint stays on the shoe. And that couldn't be further from the truth. You need to really make sure that you're taking the time to remove that factory finish, acetoning it, sanding it, depending on what type of shoes you're working on, and really making sure that this project that you're gonna spend anywhere from 4 to 100 hours on your first pair will actually be wearable, and you're not gonna have paint cracking right away, because there's nothing more deflating than when you feel like you've done a great job on a pair of shoes and they look tremendous, but then as soon as you wear them, you have some of that white leather peeking through, and it just feels so discouraging to see that happen. So take the time at the beginning of your project. It will always likely be your least favorite part of the entire process, but it is absolutely the most important. And that leads us right into our next mistake, which is using the wrong paints or painting the wrong materials. So if you plan to work on a pair of all leather shoes, you want to make sure that you're using a paint that's formulated to work on leather, such as Angelus acrylic leather paint. Now this doesn't mean that you want to just go and use any old acrylic paint that you can purchase from your local craft store just because it's a little bit cheaper. Those types of paints just aren't going to hold up as well. And the last thing you want to happen, similar to what we mentioned with the prep work, is to do an entire project with the wrong paints, think that the end product looks good, and then as soon as you or the client goes to wear them, some of that paint start cracking. So there's some other great options out there as well, but just make sure you're using the right type of paint for the job. Another thing that you want to make sure of is that if you're ever working on any other different types of materials, you want to use the right type of additive. So if you're ever working on a pair of Vans, which are made of canvas or Converse, or if you're ever painting the fabric sock liner of a pair of Air Force Ones, you want to use a fabric medium with your paints. And this is just going to change the way the paint actually bonds with that type of material. You need to heat set something like that in order for it to retain some of that factory softness. Now, if you were to skip this step and just paint the sock liner of a pair of Air Force Ones with just your regular leather paint, it's really going to stiffen and harden up, and then when you go to place your foot in the shoe, it's no longer going to be comfortable by any means. Same thing with the canvas material on a pair of Vans or Converse. If you paint that entire thing with leather paint and no fabric medium added, they're really going to stiffen up and no longer bend in the same way. There's also some materials that you just want to avoid as a whole when it comes to painting on shoes, such as the outsole. No paint is ever going to bond to this properly. Rubber in general is a really tricky material to work with, and I usually recommend just avoiding midsoles in general. Even something like this where I've painted the air and the little strip nearby, although this is just a display pair, that's easily something that is a lot more likely for the paint to rub off than on any of the other leather panels on the upper. So you never just want to go in blindly and start painting all of the areas of any given shoe. Something else you never want to do is our next mistake, and that's overcomplicating your designs too early. If you've never painted on something like leather before, it's a much different experience than what you might be used to, so it's much better to start off a little bit simpler just so you can get used to things. Even something like a basic color blocking design, I think, is always a great place to start just to get familiar with the process. It's really easy to find some amazingly detailed designs online that might serve as inspiration for your first piece where you take a look at them and say, I want to do something just like that for my first pair, but you might end up biting off more than you can chew if you've never worked on shoes or leather before. So to get started, just try to get a hang of all of your basic fundamentals. Try to get a feel for what it's like to work with these types of paints. Try to get a feel for what it's like to work on a pair of shoes with all of the different panels, the different edges, the different materials that come along with them. Just start a little bit simpler. Once you've got all of those basics covered, the next crucial step is knowing your worth as an artist and trying to figure out what you should charge. And this is a really hard thing to do when you're just starting out. And a far majority of the time, I think that a lot of beginners undercharge because they're not really factoring in the cost of all of their time, materials, labor, resources that they're putting into each and every project. And I think at the end of the day, it's easy to forget that this is a custom luxury product that you can't just go and buy at the mall. When you're just starting out, I think there's a pretty good chance you might end up working with some of your friends or family members, and you want to give them a bit of a deal. You want to break them off a little bit from what you might charge somebody else, but it's okay to still remember that your time and skills are still valuable. Another issue that I've seen some artists run into is going to be on the other end of the pricing spectrum, and that's charging too much of a premium. So a big goal that I think a lot of artists have is selling their first $1,000 shoe, then selling their first $2,000 shoe, and just constantly moving the goalpost from there. And what could end up happening is as you start charging more, you might end up serving a little bit more of a niche market. It might be a little bit harder to find some of those clients that are willing to pay that price range each month. There's an old saying that you've probably heard that art is worth whatever someone is willing to pay for it. And over time, when you're able to charge more as an artist and really start to make a profit, it is a phenomenal feeling. But what I think that you want to try to avoid when you're starting out is just painting yourself in a corner and feeling like you have to charge a certain premium and then no longer being able to land enough clients in order to run a sustainable business. So I think it's best when you're just starting out to really try to avoid hyperfixating on pricing in either direction, whether that's charging too much or not charging enough. Just know that this stuff will come with time and as you continue to build your brand. And speaking of building a brand, it's so important to remember that you and your artwork are your own personal brand. And it's really easy to forget that and just get caught up in the process because at the end of the day, usually we're working with already name brand shoes. We're working with Nike, we're working with Adidas, Jordan brand, whatever the case may be. And usually we're doing artwork that might be tied to some type of IP. Maybe it might be an anime or cartoon design, or maybe we're painting sports team themed shoes, or maybe we're even taking a popular Nike colorway from one shoe and painting it onto another shoe. But you have to remember that you yourself are a brand too. And people connect with brands when they tell them a story, when they show them the process. You know, for a long time, I wanted my artwork to do all of the talking for me. I didn't want to have to show my face in any way when it came to the brand of DeJesus Custom Footwear, or what was DeJesus Customs at the time. I just wanted the finished pictures of the shoes to be all anybody ever saw from me. And it wasn't until I started showing my face to when I started putting myself out there, that's when everything completely changed for myself and for this brand. So one thing that you want to avoid is just posting finished pictures of your shoes. It's going to be harder for people to relate to that. They don't get to see any of the process. They don't get to see any of the hard work that goes into it. They don't get to see that there's a person behind these. All they see is just another cool pair of shoes. So try to focus on building up your brand, telling a story, and having a bit of a strategy to what you plan to post. Otherwise, that can lead you right into our final mistake, and that's giving up too soon. A lot of people might not gain any traction on some of their early work and then tie all of their worth as an artist into that. Just because you're not growing on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube doesn't mean that you're not cut out for this. Sometimes you might just have to think a little bit outside of the box and think, how can I get my work seen by other people who might not otherwise discover me on some of these social media platforms? So maybe that means attending sneaker conventions or other networking events in your area, or taking the time to do some market research and see what types of content might be working within your niche. Maybe you just need to take the time to really try to level up your content, because at the end of the day, in this new social media era, even as artists, if we don't like to admit it, your content matters as well. You also might just need to take the time to really develop your skills as an artist. Try to think about what is a signature pair from you going to look like? What's it going to include? What's going to make your work stand out from everybody else's? So even if your first few pairs of custom shoes aren't perfect, that's totally normal. We've all been there. And this entire journey is going to be a little bit like a roller coaster, full of ups and downs, but you're only going to get hurt if you jump off. So I want to hear from you guys. What are some of the mistakes that you made when starting out, and what's some of the advice you might give to somebody else when starting out in this industry? I also want to say thank you guys so much for watching and tuning into another video. Please make sure you go ahead and drop a like on it if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed, and now everybody get out there and just create.